morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're consuming this broadcast. Welcome to Ionisms, a podcast about society, art, entertainment, culture, movies, pets, cricket, and a little bit of geopolitics. As always, we look into some of the happening events in the weeks or months gone by. This is not a regular kind of podcast, it's a solo, slow burn, straight talk kind of a conversation, no rhetoricals, no mumbo jumbo. If this is something that floats your boat, sit back, relax. I have a fascinating episode for you this week. Okay, in case you've not seen the previous episode, it's about the Champions Trophy. This one is, of course, going to be the deep dive on the ongoing Border Gavaskar Trophy. And, one of the reasons I'm doing it after three tests is, to get a sense on where we stand, not just from a cricketing standpoint, but from the mental standpoint, where we are headed for the remainder of the two tests, Boxing Day starting on 24th, and then Sydney Test on 3rd of January, if I'm not mistaken. So let's dive into it right away. Uh, what were the initial thoughts before we set out for the Australia tour? I thought missing Mohammad Shami would cost us a lot, and the pink ball test just proved that. Surprised with the Perth test. It kind of, after 150 all out, I thought, well, this is not making sense. What are the things that turned around? Clearly, Mr. Bumrah's spell that was magical. And when you view the BGT, you don't view it from a one test standpoint. You view it from a five test standpoint. So my top thoughts or top concerns were, yes, Mr. Bumrah will bowl great spells, probably be the leading wicket taker in the series. However, given the fact that some of the decks might be such, or some of the batting might be such from the Australians that they could grind us down, much like the Indian batters did at Perth. We kind of tired them out, and part of the reason Mr. Hazelwood couldn't continue was probably fatigue. Having bowled what 130 odd overs, it is difficult, and so it requires a lot of thinking, planning, mental strength, and of course physical strength. And so when Perth test happened, I was like, wow, this is out of syllabus. This is something which Australians usually do to the visiting teams. And so we probably started off well. But even as happy as I was to see the Perth victory, batting was a cause of concern. And barring, if you remove Yashasvi Jaiswal's 160, the rest was just there. I mean, you can applaud Mr. KL Rahul clearly, and but your biggies, Mr. Virat Kohli, yes, he got 100, but it wasn't the most fluent 100. Let's break that down, right? The first 50, 55, 60 runs were not the most fluent, I guess, post that. But also see at the time at which he came in to bat. Now, you can't take away the credit, like the, the gentleman who scored a century. So, what are you even complaining about, right? So, for us cricket fans, true blue, and love to believe that test cricket purist, if you will. Uh, the manner in which he was hitting uh, the cross-batted shots, the cover drive, it gave a glimpse that he's finding the touch, but not here. Somewhere, if you even notice this, I mean, you can argue that you are reading too much into body language and what you see on television. You can't get into the man's head. Can't. But having followed a cricketer for the preceding 10, 12 years, you get to see how he is evolved, right? How he was at its peak during 2017, 18, that kind of time frame, and then how it has been after that. One notices the classical mistakes. If you go back to the England series where he scored very poorly, it's not that you get out to an unplayable delivery. That if you do the summary of all the dismissals that Mr. Virat Kohli went through in some of the marquee matches, I'd imagine probably one or two were dismissals which one nobody could have done anything about. Like the classical Jaffa, it just comes out of the blue. You can't do anything, and you get out. And that's happened. That happens to the best of cricketers globally. But unfortunately, I'd probably peg it at about 90-95% of the dismissals were because of muscle memory, playing at the sixth stump, seventh stump, way outside your body, thinking, backing yourself, saying that, yeah, I can hit the ball on the rise, whereas you're not adapting. Not even adapting, you're not looking at the match scenario, the match situation, and trusting your instinct. So I guess the, the question in the mind was, sure, you should go back and trust your instinct, but maybe 15 overs later. That's all. And that's exactly the sentiment for Mr. Sharma as well. You know that you have all the time in the world, all the lazy elegance in the world and everything. It just needed you to hang in there for 15, 20 overs. You need not show intent, you need not show express and play your natural game. You play to the situation. How difficult is that to understand? Now, you know that they've placed a person at 45 because you hook well, and then you come back and say, yeah, I hook better. I back myself to cross the boundary more often than I get, caught in at square leg. But the point is, yes, you could do that once in a while. I mean, when you're playing for the country, you always play to the situation. Yes, if you're in a test match and you are 300 for one or 300 for two, day one, and bowlers are tired and you want to take a chance, yeah, sure. Or if you want to even say, I feel very confident even when we are like 100 for one or 150 for one. That's fair too. But when you are like 10 runs on the board and you want to express yourself when you have not yet, your eyes have not set in, your feet are not moving, and you just want to do that. And people know you will do it, and so what's the ego thing here? That's where the problem statement is. Getting dismissed is always a possibility, happens. That's the battle between bat and ball. But it's in cricket, it's more to do with the mind. And for the true blue cricket fan, that's been a constant sense of disappointment that somewhere Australia is getting the better of us mentally, not skill wise. And so that's the problem with Mr. Sharma and Mr. Kohli. Very identical with Mr. Pant, the top superstars. And Mr. Pant has been, over televised already. I think he's getting overexposed, and these are all media related. Not that Mr. Pant would have asked for it, but now everybody is talking about what a genius, what a game changer. And like, the media almost makes you believe that a person is larger than life. Like, does Mr. Pant have talent? Of course he does. Does he have the X factor going for him? Of course he does. But does it mean that he can be reckless? Answer is no. He has to display even the pre-accident phase, and I would consider that's a turning point from a traumatic experience, very unfortunate event, accident, and he's got the mental resolve to come back. Kudos to that. That's great. But if you see the pattern of dismissals, that I will only play one form of cricket. Oh, that's Rishabh Pant, so he is licensed to play reckless. Well, I don't know if that's a smart strategy. When you're playing for the country, when you've got so much of activity going on, just playing recklessly in the name of being I'm expressing myself is not always the right strategy. Once in a while you do it, it's okay. And then post the tragic event, I thought he would have revisited his technique, revisited his temperament, but that doesn't seem to be the case in these three test matches. The number of times he's come out to bat, there was an ample opportunity for him to settle down and make a big score, but he didn't. And nobody's asking again, as is the case with Mr. Sharma and Mr. Kohli, nobody's asking Mr. Pant to not hit, but mm, hitting out and being reckless about it, being careless about it are two different things. So when is that time going to come when there will be a tap on the shoulder and say, hey, dude, like you want to tone this down? And if the argument is you mess with somebody's natural flow, then they don't do well. But in this case also he's not doing well. So if you're going to say, or unless you've calibrated in your mind that of the 15 or 20 innings he will fail 80-90% of the time, or one inning he will play, it'll be a gem of a knock. Is that acceptable? Somewhere I get a sense that Team India or Team India think tank is resigned mentally to the fact that Mr. Pant will maybe hit the gem of a knock, and it could be today, but I have no guarantee if it will happen today. Now, that to me is not a very sound strategy. That leaves us with Mr. KL Rahul, and he's gone a lot going on between his ears, very evident, very clear. Does he have the technique? Yes, he does. Does he have the temperament? Yes, he does. And so it often bewilders me that why he finds himself in that position that he is today, having to prove his space in the or position in the team. So when you saw the Perth match and you saw, and I fear sometimes that youngsters like Mr. Shubman Gill and Mr. Jaiswal, they might inherit or imbibe the same temperament or template that Mr. Kohli, Mr. Sharma, Mr. Pant are displaying, as was evident. Mr. Jaiswal got out in the first innings of Perth trying to punch hard, and like when he could have easily left the ball. And ever since that century, he's not quite looked comfortable because he's going after the bowling, going after the bowling. Somebody needs to tell the young gentleman to calm down and go into Zen zone. I mean, that's the mentorship he requires. That's the advice that he requires. That go into Zen mode for 20 overs, for 30. Even in the pink ball test, why would you think that it's a foregone conclusion? Yes, the ball is moving. Ball is moving for both teams. Yes, the ball is bouncing for both teams. So both teams fared badly in batting. Then why couldn't you back it? Why couldn't you do the compare with bowling? Yes, you don't have Mo Shami, but I thought the trouble with Mo Siraj was it's bowling short. Now, why wouldn't somebody advise him to bowl a foot ahead, like a yard ahead? What is the problem in that? The fear factor is, oh, if you bowl full, it could come in as a half volley. You could get driven. Sure, bowl. In fact, I heard this commentary somewhere that I need to outthink the batsman and try this and try that, and like it was, I think Mr. Akash Deep's pre-match commentary earlier today. Uh, and I'm like, why is nobody advising Mr. Akashdeep to bowl in the same areas like Mr. Hazelwood does, ball after ball after ball, and let the batsman make the mistake? Why is that not a strategy? So most Siraj needs to be told sometimes that you don't need to try so much. You need to bowl five deliveries, which are pitching just uh, around good length or little ahead of good length. Try a Yorker, and if you're trying a bouncer, if you really want, you need to clock up to 145-ish or 147 for it to really make any difference, and it has to be somewhere around this area. If you want to just do this, like it has to be in this area. If it goes here, if it goes too low, so then the point is what? A bouncer which is coming at this height at about 135-ish is not a threat delivery. So either it has to be well directed, even if it is 135, it's coming right at your face, okay, or you know uh, dial up the pace a little bit, get up to 143, 144, and I think most Siraj can do that, and that's where he missed out. Where he's falling short, bowling a little too short. It's a big problem if you remember in the previous Test series with Mr. Shardul Thakur. Kept on bowling short, short, short. I mean, like you are not a Jofra Archer. You know, you don't bowl at that pace. And so know when to bowl full, let the ball swing, bowl of, think of James Anderson, right? Bowling full wobble seam. Even he doesn't know where the ball will come in or go out. That's what you want to do. And that's the space, that's the corridor of uncertainty where you need to keep bowling. Why? What's so difficult in that? So I think Mo Siraj missed that. My worry with Mr. Bumrah is that he will be tired if he has to bowl a longish spell. And look, by the look of it, if it's a flattish wicket in Melbourne and Sydney, it's going to be hard to bowl yet another 25 over, 25, 25, 50 over spell in the space of 3.5, 4 days. By the time he gets to Sydney, his back and legs are going to be very sore. So yes, he's fit, touch wood, knock on wood. But he goes down, then suddenly, and Mo Siraj doesn't alter the way he's bowling. I mean, I'm of the belief, of the opinion that even if Mr. Bumrah is not playing, and Mo Siraj leads the pace attack along with Akashdeep to back him. Clearly, and without Mo Shami, we still hold a chance if we bowl in the right areas. My trouble is nobody's advising them on why they are not able to bowl in the right areas, right? We always get to hear in post-match conferences that, oh, we bowled too short and too wide. Like, yeah, I know that. The question is why? Why are you doing that when you train exactly to not do that? So that's the worrying factor there from a bowling unit standpoint. Mr. Akashdeep has done generally well, so can't complain there. Um, he again has the tendency to get little excited, excitable character, but to give it to the gentleman that it's his first tour, first big exposure. So a little bit of expression, aggression, it's fine. And I didn't mind Moses Siraj's aggression against Mr. Travis Head. And Mr. Travis Head, you've allowed him to get into form. I think some of the basic, as cliched as it might sound, when Mr. Travis Head comes into bat, you've got to keep him on strike for at least 2 or 3 overs and bowl full. Let him make the mistakes. Let him hit from ball one. You have to be switched on from ball one. It's something that I admire about the Australian bowlers. You think of Mitchell Stark or Mr. Hazelwood or even Mr. Cummins. Like switched on from ball one, they know exactly what to bowl full exactly at that point and go. And it helps if you have done that for the three of them have done consistently for a long period of time. On the flip side, as a batter facing Mitch Stark right up, you know it's going to be full. It's like a la Shine Shah Freedy, right? You know that it's just the first 2 over spell. They're going to bowl a in swinging Yorker on your legs. You know what to expect. So have a squarish stand, take the LBW out of the equation, see if you can defend it out. It's a predictable syllabus. And of course, and I know some people will say, "Oh, it's easier said than done." That's not my job. You come and try doing my job. No, no, right? So my job is my responsibility, and so I don't complain about it. I know that it's a tough job, so I got to do it. It's your job to navigate that incoming Yorker, especially when you know what to expect, right? And that is where the frustration builds up as a follower of the Indian cricket team. That don't get out to known deliveries, as in known syllabus. If somebody bowls out of syllabus, that's fair. I hope I'm not getting too worked up on this, right? The whole point is to have a normal, regular discussion. But sometimes these messages, I just hope this message lands with the Indian cricket team, be it Mr. Gautam Gambhir or Mr. Rohit Sharma, so that give us those answers. Like, why is it happening? Keep on sharing what is going on. So anywho, so Perth test, uh, we kind of somehow got away with the genius of Mr. Bumrah's spell. Pink ball test, we gave in way too easily. It was almost like we knew, in your mind, you had almost said, yeah, we're not going to win this. The third test, Team Australia dominated for most part. And should you feel happy about going past the follow on? Yeah, I guess so. But I also would give it like you're letting the opposition know that you are very happy uh, getting out of jail, as it were, metaphorically, and forget about winning the match. So it's not like a particularly high standard that one raises. But yeah, does it give some kind of confidence? Yeah, I'm sure it does. And will Australia's confidence be deeply dented? I think not. And as far as the next test is concerned, Boxing Day test, if it is a flat wicket, it's the usual cliche: win the toss, and you want to bat. If you see a green top, then win the toss and bowl maybe. And if you know how the second day, third day plays out, if it is going to flatten out, then take the chance of batting first, and then weigh wearing down the bowlers in the first session. That's all there is to it, isn't it? And so my hope is that we should win the Melbourne test if we tick all the boxes of learning. If we again make the same mistakes, then it looks like Australia's victory and we go into Sydney as 2-1. But before I wrap up, quick word on captaincy. Mr. Rohit Sharma is under a lot of scrutiny. His captaincy is being observed, analyzed, sliced, diced, and commented upon uh, from multiple people, cricket pundits, stakeholders, and everybody. My only hope for him is that it should not reach his ears, and he gets the time and space to clear his mind. It was until very recently he was applauded for being street smart, for being very uh, his cognitive abilities being very strong, and think on your feet, and classical street fighter. That was not evident in some of the matches that we have seen so far. Think of the New Zealand series, think of the first two three test matches. It was like lot is weighing on his mind, and rightfully so. And until, I don't know if scoring a century or a big daddy 100 will ease that a little bit. And with these big players like Mr. Virat Kohli or Mr. Sharma, it's not like that one of 100. They want to make a statement 100. They want to make an impact 100. That's what gets their juices flowing. So it'll be a battle. He's dug himself into a big hole, and God forbid if he does not, if we lose the BGT moving forward, the manner of loss will be something of a concern. I have always mentioned, and it's a cliched over and over again, let the other team play out of their skins to beat you and do something like much like we did in the previous edition of the BGT. We went completely out of our skins when our second side, third side was on the park, and so we need to play exemplary cricket, and that's fair. But losing, making basic mistakes is where the challenge lies. Making tactical errors, not letting the game drift, and not manufacturing changes, engineering a move, doing something different, is something that is at least not evident. He's been vocal on the field, he's been animated, agitated, all that is okay. I don't read too much into it. What you need to see is a smart move, which is worked out. It's like planned and set somebody up and that kind of stuff. That's not being evident. It's clearly not helping with him appearing to be not as fit as some of the other players. And so much to do between the space between the 2 years than his ability or talent. Nobody's doubting that. um, what they need to show is pick up when it matters the most. And I guess the Boxing Day test will be yet another opportunity for Mr. Sharma to stamp and his class yet again and show that the great captain in him has gone nowhere and is still got a few years ahead of him. So let's hope, keep our fingers crossed, and I wish Team India all the best for the remainder of the series. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's all the time I had for this episode and these two episodes. I split them into two. I hope you get a sense on the way, the format, the content, that Ionisms is trying to deliver. And do let me know if you like it. And bouquets and brickbats, welcome. If there are any areas of improvement, if I missed out any fact or something, I am sure you will let me know. I will try and improve moving forward. You know where to reach me on Ionisms, AAYANISMS. Leave a comment below or on platform X, hashtag Ionisms. Hopefully, in the coming weeks, I get some more time. This is not like a regular channel that, on a given week I release 2 videos, and I wish I could do that. Fortunately, my day job doesn't permit me that kind of bandwidth and time. So, and I don't want to do a shoddy job. When I do make an episode, I want to make sure it's well worth your time. So I really thank you for being patient. And those, if you have lasted this long, then that'd be great. And I'd appreciate it if you could subscribe to the channel as well. Till we meet the next time on Ionism, stay well, stay safe, and keep listening to Ionisms. Peace out.